Welcome to Doc Talk Dental, where dental industry marketing specialist Lisa Muller sits down with doctors, innovators, and thought leaders to share their stories, strategies, and insights. And now, here's Lisa.
Hi everyone, it's Lisa Muller with Implant Practice US and MedMark Publication. Welcome to another edition of Doc Talk Dental. I'm very excited today to be here with General Restorative and Cosmetic Dentist, Dr. Bernee Dunson. Dr. Dunson completed his General Dentistry Residency at Columbia University's Harlem Hospital, then received his Oral Implantology Graduate Certificate from the Loma University School of Dentistry. Dr. Dunson is a fellow in the American Academy of Implant Dentistry and served as its president in 2019 to 2020. As the immediate past president, he still serves on the board. He is also a diplomate of the American Board of Oral Implantology. Dr. Dunson, thank you so much for joining us today on Doc Talk Dental. How are you?
I'm doing quite well, Lisa. Greetings from Atlanta, Georgia.
So happy to have you. That is an amazing bio, by the way. You are quite accomplished.
Oh, I stand on the shoulders of some tremendous mentors. I'm happy to carry the torch.
So tell me how long, first of all, you've been in implant dentistry.
I've actually been practicing implant dentistry for 28 years this December.
Wow.
That's correct.
For a minute.
I have been doing it for a minute. I've actually been teaching implant dentistry for 25 years this past July.
Wow. Good for you. Good for you. So it's interesting that you studied on the East Coast and also a West Coast school, but you returned to your roots in Georgia. Was that your plan all along, or how did that work? You're in Atlanta, correct?
I was in Atlanta, yes. My undergrad institution where I got a degree in biology was Morehouse College here in Atlanta, which is a family generation. I'm a third generation Morehouse man. My son is a fourth. I left Morehouse in Atlanta and actually went west to Southern Cal, to dental school, where I did my undergrad dental training. And then I went north to New York, Northeast, and then back to Southern Cal, where Loma, which is probably one of the best implant residency programs, if not one of the few, for sure the best, where I was able to train. And then I wanted to make it back to Georgia because I wanted to be back close to family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That was the reason for that, yes.
Yeah, well, that's a good reason.
That's
a good reason.
It's worked out really well for me.
So how did you first learn about Ditron Dental?
I was first introduced to Ditron Dental from a friend of mine in the industry, Michael Stevens. Michael Stevens works with the company now. He's in the C-suite associated with the company. And he approached me and asked me, Dr. Dunson, I want to bring a concept to you, a new implant company that we're going to bring over from Israel. And we want to entertain the idea of you serving on the advisory board. That conversation sparked further questions, which then led to who's going to be on this board. And then when you hear the cadre of tremendous talent that Michael and others and Dr. Jensen, who's the first name I'll mention, brought together, you get excited. If you're a scientist, you're a clinician, you love to do what you can to be a part of a group of masterminds where it gets better. When I heard the name Ole Jensen, who I had some communication with as I served as president of the American Academy of Implant Dentistry, and just having such tremendous admiration for him, his journey, his gifts to the profession, you want to be associated with that. Other names that were relevant, Dr. Dennis Tarnow. I've been a student who's read his literature, had the opportunity to meet him on several occasions. His contribution to our implant field is unsurpassed. And so the idea of being on that board with those gentlemen was great. And then one name I have to mention also, there's a name, Curtis Jansen. Curtis Jansen he was one of my professors at Southern Cal. And just to have the opportunity to reunite with him and be a part of a think tank to improve an implant system was exciting for me.
Oh, that's awesome. It's always great when you can work with your mentors and people that you've worked with along the way to come up within your specialty, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
That's incredible. So why did you decide to implement the Ditron system into your practice?
The idea of being on the advisory board obviously sparked the interest. Then from there, Michael sent me some literature, sent me some information, and I was able to start reading about this company. While this company exists in Israel, been around for 50 years, it's exciting to hear about a company that's providing precision components and parts for other industries with success. High-end automotive industries, Tesla, Maserati, and the likes. And then you hear about them in the aerospace industry, and then in Formula One. What we know to be true with what we do in dentistry is that we have to have precision parts. And if a company has had success with Formula One cars and steering columns and being able to successfully mill parts and pieces and components for that industry to have success, and then let's take it to space. When they're having success in that arena, then it becomes something it sparks your interest, it catches your attention, and you say, let me delve deeper into this and find out. And from that research, I said, this is something I want to be a part of because I like what I'm reading. I like the science behind it. I like the research behind it. And so here I am.
They definitely need to be precise in those environments, don't they?
For sure.
Aerospace and
there's no forgiveness in that industry.
Not at all. Yeah, absolutely. It could be people's lives on the line.
Absolutely.
How long have you been using Ditron, the product, in your practice?
I want to give it a year and maybe 4 months. So we'll say I joined the team in 2020. Here we are in 2021, but we're in the back end of 2021, almost approaching the fourth quarter. I would submit to you that I've been doing it for about 18 months, and have been pleasantly pleased with some of the discoveries I've had, having been doing implant dentistry for 28 years. Some of the expectations, to be true, have been heightened relative to some of the things we're trying to achieve, like when we're doing immediate placement and trying to get high torque value so that we can progress the case along for the patients.
Mm-hmm. And what have been the benefits of this product over others that you've used in your practice?
Well, being a student and also being an educator in implant dentistry, you look for certain things. You want to have good bone to implant contact. You want to have good insertion torque. So we're just basically saying, I'm placing my implant, I'm getting the initial great stability, which is going to enhance my chance for long-term success. And I love the platform. The platform is a single platform, which then eliminates some of the inventory relative to how you approach treating your patients. Not having to have a lot of different narrow body, wide body, and standard platforms. One single platform facilitates it for us. I mean, to be true, we're only as good as the team that surrounds us. And this implant system, I'll use the term, checks a box for facilitating having the right parts, pieces, and components for the people you're serving. And it makes it easier for the team that support you in that process. So that's a big plus. And we can talk about more as we go through this.
Okay, so Dr. Dunson, tell me about, we were just talking about the unique single platform system of Ditron. How does that, what are the advantages of that for the patient?
Well, let's talk about the platform, which is the connection between the implant abutment and the implant itself. The precision design that has the highest quality of manufacturing associated with that is key and critical. The fact that it goes across the entire system, it's a 2.45 internal hex that gives us a precise fit with the opportunity for no micro leakage or very minimal micro leakage relative to bacterial invasion, which creates another concern, which we can talk about. Mm-hmm. That in and of itself is a tremendous plus, because success in implants, not only short-term, but long-term, plays a significant role in what we do, because we treat people. And failures are the last thing that any of us as practitioners want, whether they be short-term failures or long-term failures. We want something that a patient has invested in that's going to last them and withstand some of the masticatory forces that they're going to submit to this implant system. This system provides us with an awesome connection that overcomes some of the historical issues that we've dealt with with other implant systems. This is a third generation implant system. So it should be that the science behind this has improved upon what we've gone with before. And the reality is it has. What I like too is that the company's innovating with the idea that we're third generation, we're going to be leading the space for fourth generation. So aligning yourself with a company that's working in that, always getting better, providing precision, providing a great design, providing quality that's versatile and innovative is a winning combination for a practitioner as it relates to being in implant dentistry.
I love a company that innovates, because if we're not innovating, we're dying. I'm a big Tony Robbins person, and he says you have to, and that's how I built my business over 17 years, is we've continually innovated and done things that others aren't doing or improved upon, other processes. And I'm a total believer in that.
And that's why, Lisa, you've experienced the success that you have, and that's great.
Thank you. Well, it's not just, I have to give my team credit. They're the best. They're the best in the business, bar none, I have to say. They really are.
Good for you.
So Ditron is known for the precision manufacturing, as we've talked about. This is really an obvious question about why would clinicians care about this precision? Obviously, because it's just a more guaranteed improvement for the patient and experience all around, correct?
Correct.
How important is it that an implant offer initial stability for immediate load, and how does Ditron provide this?
Excellent question, Lisa. How it provides initial stability for immediate load. It's really in the design of the implant. Here's our reality. We live in I call it a microwave society. Patients come to us with different sets of wants, needs, and circumstances. They want a solution to replace what they had naturally yesterday. The reality is we as practitioners, scientists, clinicians have to be able to provide a science, and we have to wait in some respects for their body to heal. What the Ditron design has done is overcome some of those time windows by creating exceptional bone to implant contact, so we get high insertion towards initial stability that is off the charts. And that's one of the things that surprised me when I started using the system a year ago. I was taking teeth out and placing immediate implants, and I've done this for years, and it's a feel that happens when you romance bone with your hands. There's a dexterity that takes place, and I'm recognizing that this implant is torquing. Its ISQ values are much, much higher than the other implants I've used in the past, which then, in turn, always keeping the goal in mind, I'm going to be able to load this implant earlier, probably different than I would if I use a different implant and have to use traditional protocols, so that I can give the solution to the patient. So at least while we're in a transition phase, the patient can face their public, go about life as usual, and the world doesn't know what's happening as it relates to this implant has replaced a natural.
Right. It's all about the patient and getting them through this whole process, right? Because when you hear, oh my gosh, I've got to have an implant and it's surgery, and they get scared of that. So if you can make it as seamless as possible for them and as pain-free as possible, that is obviously the goal, right?
Tremendously so. That's the advantage.
Yeah.
It's the science behind this system, this company, and I give credit to Dr. Jensen because he's pushing that envelope. It's simplistic in a lot of regards for the practitioner, so we can minimize human error, and we're getting success in treating patients for what they're coming to see us for. Lisa, patients don't come to us for implants. I have to stress that. They come to us for fixed teeth. The issue becomes the implant is the means by which we as practitioners provide the service. So the best implant we have available is the one we need to employ so that we can have greater success in that arena.
Right. So what role does the implant-abutment junction play in peri-implantitis, and how is Ditron solving this issue?
Excellent question. So success rate with implants is pretty high. short term, long term as well. The issue, though, is we're seeing based on science and in the literature that there is a degree of concern associated with that word, that term you just used, we call peri-implantitis. Peri-implantitis, based on the research, has clearly been identified as either having micromotion associated with the connection of the abutment to the implant, and or having micro leakage at that gap or that junction where the abutment connects to the implant. The quality of manufacturing that we're experiencing with the Ditron implant, abutment implant connection, is superior to what we've had generations before, and with a lot of the major players in the market. It's been tested. The reality is the tolerances of the connection are much stronger, so therefore you minimize the chance for micro movement creating a concern, number one. And then number two, the lack of a gap where you cannot have bacterial invasion, which then creates inflammation, which then creates bone loss, and a cascade of events ultimately leading to the loss of the implant potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Those key components are very critical. The company has addressed this concern. They've gone with the science of it, from looking at scientists such as Don Callan, Dr. Herman, Dr. Lazaro, Dr. Tarnow, I would say Dr. Salama, and Garber. They have addressed this issue. So they've taken it to a generation such that we are meeting the concern of eliminating peri-implantitis. Peri-implantitis is a challenging way to treat. It's challenging to treat peri-implantitis. So the goal is obviously never to get it. And this implant system meets or exceeds the expectations associated with preventing that, from what I can evaluate in my early exposure to it, and from the research from Danza and from others who were in Israel who've done studies associated with it.
What are the, do you know off the top of your head what the success rates for?
We're having, high 90s as it relates to success rate. And the thing that we're having that's going to differentiate, the game changer, if you will, is that you're going to have short-term success, and you're going to experience and realize long-term success. The design of the implant incorporates what we use a term we call platform switching, which we know offsets peri-implantitis. In addition, the ultimate implant has a reverse conical crestal neck, which also allows for bone support relative to things. So it's kind of just, like I said, it's just improved. I use a language in my life, I talk about progressively refining. This implant has addressed the concerns that we've experienced so that they are not what we're living in our current and present contemporary space.
I like that, progressively refining.
I'm writing a book, I'll send you.
On this topic?
Progressive refinement.
I love it.
As progressive refinement is the title of the book, but it's always trying to get better and looking at life in a manner where we're not perfect. We can always
I want a copy of this book for sure.
It's in a
I love
manuscript
that. I
form.
love that. So is it about, is it like a memoir? Is it about your career, or is it, just about your life experience, or?
Life experience, perspective on life, and how we have to allow for us to recognize that we're not perfect beings, but we can always make every effort to be better. And I think in the last part of it, if you're not getting better, something like Tony Robbins says, you should never stop trying to improve who you are until such time as you've transitioned into a different life, is my philosophy.
Absolutely.
So from that, what I share with you is I get excited about being a part of Ditron Dental, because I know that the array of scientists involved are all adopt that same philosophy. They might not call it what I call it, but they all share that philosophy. Dentistry is truly a science of perfection, done by imperfect beings. So if we have a tool in our on our team that minimizes errors just inherently in how it is designed, then, and it's simplified in terms of how you use the system to place the implant, it kind of minimizes the variables associated with that, which can cause us to not have success.
It just takes away one less headache for
one less headache,
something less to think about.
No, something less to have. That's correct.
Exactly. So I think we've touched on this, but restoratively speaking, what is the main point that clinicians should know about the Ditron system? Other than it keeps evolving and transitioning into a better product, what else should they know for their practice?
Currently, they should know that the internal hex design that is this implant and how it is designed in the industry has the best tolerances for eliminating micromotion and eliminating bacterial invasion, which is key. The other thing is the fact that it's a single platform. In our world, Lisa, it's a big thing for it to have a single platform, because what that does is affords us the opportunity to have it simplified so that we can deliver that care for patients without a lot of different hoops, jumps through standard wide platform, narrow platform. You know, it gets to be cumbersome, if you will, and to have a system that has simplified the approach. Even the drill sequence is simplified in terms of visualizing the ability to gauge the depth of preparing the bone to receive the implant. Those are little things that make it more simple, but the science behind the thought helps us a lot as when we're in surgery, because you're working on patients that are moving, there's a tongue in the way, there's saliva, there's suction. So these little thoughts that have made this a great quality implant system is really pleasing.
I don't know how y'all do it sometimes, because you talked about romancing the bone and you're knowing exactly, where to put it and how, it really is an art form, what you guys do. And I know practice makes perfect. I mean, obviously when you have years into it, it's just second nature, but you got a lot going on in the mouth, like you just said, and you've got to really, it obviously helps when you have an instrument like this that is, so amazing.
Yeah, it's a game changer in a lot of ways. And I feel confident to suggest that the long-term outcome is really what we'll be most pleased by when it comes to how it's designed.
Absolutely. So what are some of the other products that Ditron sells that you feel clinicians should know about?
That's something, Lisa, I can't say that I've explored much. I'm an implant guy at heart. I do a fair amount of implants. There are three different types of implants. There's the molecular precision implant, and it has an indication. There's the ultimate implant, which is what I'm most enamored with. I use the most for reasons we've been discussing. There's a one-piece implant in certain areas of the mouth, Lisa, where you talk about the lower, we call them incisors. They're very narrow, they're very small. A one-piece implant with a smaller diameter has an indication in that area in some instances, as well as maybe the lateral teeth. So the other thing is that this implant system in and of itself has versatility in all the solutions and has no limitations. There's a digital platform. We live in a digital world now, which also expedites the process. It makes it more precise, taking digital imaging for STL files and DICOM files. So the system has that versatility, which is great. They do have other products, but quite honestly, I can't speak to them. I think they have a composite. And if they're applying the same science and approach to science in the materials that they have that are going to address the biomaterials so that we can address the biomechanics of what happens in the oral cavity, I would feel confident using them as well. I just not at this point have I delved into using those.
Well, we spoke about the aerospace and the race car fields. I mean, again, that better be pretty precise or people are in some big trouble. So amazing company and what they're doing. How important is it to keep costs down when it comes to building a successful implant practice? And how does Ditron's pricing allow you to do that?
let's just say that what we want to do as clinicians is to provide practical, predictable, and to be true profitable care to our patients. Profitable gives us the opportunity to be there for the next patient and for the next patient and the next patient. The accuracy of this implant allows us to minimize chances for failure. Along those lines, the most expensive thing we can do in a practice, Lisa, is have to do it again. To have a failure and have to do it again. A lot of times in dentistry, we obviously just do it for free, but we do it over for the investment that the patient initially made. One of the things I do, and that's a great question, how has Ditron addressed this issue? This implant is priced appropriately to afford the clinicians to be able to carry an inventory and provide care to the patient that walks into the practice tomorrow. And that's a great thing. I would submit to you, when I hear that question, one of the things I think about is my teaching. I have an opportunity to teach, and I'm excited. I'm going to bring my program back. I just kind of let it rest during this environment we call the pandemic. And I'm excited about bringing it back and having my students train under and with this implant, because I see it as a good entry point for them to be able to carry this through their careers and take care of their needs.
Do you have a training facility there in Atlanta?
I do. I have a training facility in Atlanta and also have a training facility in Washington, D.C., where I run what is called a maxi course.
Good for you.
It's fun.
Quite the entrepreneur.
It's fun. There's a lot of fulfillment in teaching. When you teach, Lisa, you learn. And if you learn and you progressively refine, you get an opportunity to give better care to your patients. You get to serve.
Right. And probably doesn't really feel like work to you because you're doing something you love, right?
That's exactly true. That is true.
As long as we're doing something that we love, and every day doesn't have to be a Monday.
That's true. I agree with that one.
Right?
Yeah.
Ditron Dental refers to itself as a doctor-driven company. Can you tell us what that means to you?
It means a lot to me, Lisa, and I am fortunate to be a part of this drive. Here's the thing. We are, and a lot of us on that advisory board are wet finger dentists. We're daily providing care for patients. So we're experiencing the concerns. And we're living the life of addressing issues associated with the placement and the restorative process of helping patients. Having an implant system that is driven by a mastermind of doctors provides insight to being right there driving the process, steering the process. To me, this is exciting, and I think there's tremendous benefit to it, because I think the other users that get involved with using Ditron, and I recommend that, they will benefit from the think tank that has been assembled by Dr. Jensen. And so there's power in that mastermind. And I hope to be a small part going forward as it relates to the innovative process. But this is, when you have somebody who's doing it, telling you about it and making it better, it means a lot more. It resonates with you a lot.
And I'm hearing and assuming that the principals of the company are very, very involved from the top down with the company, correct?
Correct.
That's good. It's nice to have, that means they care. Obviously, it shows in their product, and they've been a great client for us, and we really appreciate them.
Well, I'm sure that relationship will continue. And for those individuals in the practice of implant dentistry, I'm sure they will continue and experience it to understand and realize the benefit of aligning themselves with the Ditron system.
Well, you certainly have, and it's been successful for you, and you're a very successful doctor in your own right, teaching and doing what you're doing. So we appreciate you so much coming on and sharing your thoughts on Ditron today with us on Doc Talk Dental. And I'm so excited to get your book. I have to tell you, I'm writing my own book, so I'm also
What's
an
the name
aspiring.
of your book, Lisa?
It's called, well, tentatively at the moment, it's Just Go F Yourself, How the Power of Forgiveness Saved My Life. The F is forgiveness.
I love that.
Because if we don't forgive ourselves first, then very difficult to forgive others.
Absolutely true. So appropriate for me to hear that. I love that one. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, so I'm in the process of that. So I would like to
I got a question for you, Lisa, before you let me go.
Yeah.
You use the F metaphorically as a way to capture attention. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
And it got our attention because it's for forgiveness. But it catches you. That's a great name, and people will dive in and benefit from your perspective on forgiving yourself first.
I hope so. I feel like I've been through a lot in my life, and I really have always had to come back to, okay, I didn't do everything, 100% right. But I did the best I could with what I was working with through my life. Right. So we have to forgive ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves all the time.
We really are.
Especially women, guys too, but women very, very hard on ourselves, and being a female entrepreneur and growing businesses and, all of that. It hasn't been an easy ride, but it's definitely been jam-packed with experience.
Well, that's awesome. I gotta get a copy of your book as well.
I will. I'm hoping this time next year it will be out, and absolutely. When is yours going to be out?
I'm working now. I probably have got a little bit 12 to 18 months on mine, just based on conversations with a publisher who's connected with a friend of mine that wrote a book. But I have an F reference in my book too.
You do?
I do. That's why I laugh.
And what is it? What's the F?
So I use an acronym called CODA, FTFU.
What's that?
And in the progressive refinement model, CODA is for better communication. O is for organization. D is to be able to delegate responsibility. The A is to hold the people you delegate accountable. Then the FT is to follow through. And the FU, which catches attention, is to follow up.
Love that.
To follow up.
That's so good. I love it.
Yeah. I was looking at the design.
Thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Sounds great.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So you guys, that's going to do it for another episode of Doc Talk Dental. I'd like to thank Dr. Bernee Dunson for joining us today. And I'd also like to thank our special sponsor, Ditron Dental. For more information on their amazing product, please visit DitronDentalUSA.com. That's DITRON DentalUSA.com. And as always, for anything implant, please go to implantpracticeus.com and subscribe for the latest information. To learn more about our other publications, you can visit medmarkmedia.com. We will see you back here on the next edition of Doc Talk Dental. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And until then, everyone, stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Doc Talk Dental. You can always stay up to date with our latest podcast by subscribing on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Learn more about us at MedMark Media, or connect directly with any of our publications at Orthodontic Practice US, at Endodontic Practice US, at Implant Practice US, and at Dental Sleep Practice. Until next time.